Hello everyone. Next question is about explain disaster management cycle. What is a disaster management cycle? There are those phases in disaster management, like first is the prevention, mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. Recovery in rehabilitation and reconstructions also included in response. There are two kind of response: emergency phase and restorations. Emergency phase, and in recovery there are two kind, like restorations and reconstructions. Okay. Next, in preparedness, there is a preparedness, warnings, and threats. This is all included in preparedness. Now, let's see what is a prevention. Action within this segment is designed to impede the occurrence of disaster and or prevent such a occurrence having a harmful effects on communities. On a key installation, the following are the useful classification as prevention measures: construction a dam or levees to control of flood water so that the later cannot adverse affect people's buildings and other installation like stocks, means of productions and substance, and so on. Controlling burning of bushfire prone areas prior to the high risk fire risk stations. Like some forms of legislation can also be regarded as a prevention. Land use regulations which ensure that the community are not allowed to develop vulnerable cities such as disaster prone areas of a floodplains. It is noteworthy that some countries tend to use the terms prevention or mitigation as a combined headings. Next, next is a mitigation. Mitigation means we can control, mitigate before the uh, before the disaster happens. Actions within the segments usually takes the form of specific program intended to reduce the effect of disaster on a nation or a community. For instance, some country regards the development and applications of building codes. India has also a building code that can reduce damage and losses in the event of earthquakes, cyclones, as being in the category of mitigations. Other countries may regard such building codes as being in a category of prevention. The recent developments in earth-proof buildings has undoubtedly influence the outlooks. The term mitigations more generally implies that while it may be possible to prevent some disaster effects, other effects will persist but can be modified or reduced provided appropriate actions is taken. Like these are the following actions or programs are generally regarded as coming under the headings of mitigation, like enforcement of building codes, land use regulations, safety regulation relating to high rise buildings, control and hazards substance, safety codes governing land, sea and air transport systems, agricultural programs aim to reduce the effect of hazards on crops, system to protect key installations such as power supplies and vital communications, and development is the infrastructure such as the routing of new highways away from disaster prone areas. Third is a preparedness. Preparedness is usually regarded as comprise measures which enables government, organization, community, and individuals to respond rapidly and effectively to disaster solutions. Like example for formulating a maintenance valid and updated counter disaster plans which can be brought into effect whenever requires. Special provisions for emergency actions such as evacuation populations or moving them temporarily to safe havens, providing warning systems, emergency communications, public educations and awareness training programs, and including exercise and tests. These all are included in preparedness. Okay, next. Some disaster cycles may divide in preparedness segments into sub-segments like warning, threats, uh, precautions, action taken after receipt of warning to offset effect of disaster impacts, closing offices, schools, bringing emergency power generation and readiness, cut, cutting crops to avoid total loss from high winds and high rains, making safe boats and vehicles, making household precautions such as storing emergency water supplies, Next is a response. Fourth is a response. Response means are usually those which are taken immediately prior to any following disaster impact. However, for a case of representations, the response segment is known as a following direct after disaster impact, and this is when most response measures are applied. Such measures are mainly directed towards saving life and protecting properties and to dealing with the immediate disruptions, damage, and other effects caused by a disaster. Typically, measure including like implementing plans, activating the counter disaster system, search and rescue, providing emergency flood shelters, medical assistance, surveying and assuring and evacuating. These are also included in these are the responses that government authority or people or individual can take through the disaster. Now, fifth is a recovery. Recovery is a process by which community and the nations are assisted to returning to their proper level of functioning following a disaster. The recovery process can be very protracted, taking 5 to 10 years, or even a more. Like we have seen the disaster flood of Surat city mainly it reduce the growth of city, restorations, rehabilitations, and reconstruction. These all are the steps in recovery. Typical activity includes restoring essential services, restoring of repairable homes and other buildings, installation, providing temporary housings measured to assist the physical and psychological rehabilitation of persons who has suffered from the effect of disaster. Long-term measures of reconstruction, including the replacement of buildings and infrastructure that have been destroyed by the disaster. These all activity included in recovery. These are the points we can include in questions and write an answer through it. Thank you.